Hi there, it's Hélène. Welcome back. I am here to bring you a new video. I have finished my brand new focus on Kat Von D. It lasted 8 days and I'd like to tell you a little bit about it. If you're not familiar with the brand new focus series, what I do is I pick a brand, collect everything that I have in my collection for that brand, and use it for whatever period of time. The period of time is never specified. It is either that I've tried everything to my satisfaction, or that I've grown bored with the brand, or any other reason that might pop up. So in this case, with Kat Von D products, it was for 8 days, and I used mostly eye products and some lip products. So I'd like to go over those kind of in the order we put our face on, so to speak, and just let you know how often I used each one of the products, what I used within the product, if it's an eyeshadow palette, and on from there. So let's go first off with a sample that I had received, and this is the concealer cream from Kat Von D. Now, I did a Get Ready With Me where I used that concealer for the first time, and it turned out to be the only time. So I only used, it's number 11, it's missing from here, but I used number 11, which is a neutral warm, I think. Anyway, neutral 11 is what you would be looking for. This concealer is available in 21 shades. I do think that that shade was just about my color, but for whatever reason I just didn't use it again. I have just gone back to my Boyne concealer. So although it was super high coverage, it almost freaked me out a little bit because it was just coverage, and I don't know if that's something that I'm really into. So it really impressed me with the coverage. It wore reasonably well. I think that it creased a little bit because I'm wearing a bad powder for me, which is the CoverGirl Advanced Radiance 105. It's a powder that works well around my face, but right under the eye, it does kind of bring in those lines and kind of make concealer act funny. And I don't know if cakey is the right word, but it's just not quite right. And speaking of concealer, it's so nice that I just forgot to put some on today. But anyway, story of my life, I forget stuff sometimes. Anyway, so that's the concealer. So I used it all of once and only in that shade. Moving on, I think we're going to go straight to eye products because I really don't have a ton from Kat Von D other than eye products and lip products. And what I did was I used 3 different quads, and you see the quad name. Do I have it upside down? Nope. There's the plum, there's the rust, and the sage. I will open each one of them up one at a time, but I think it's really neat that they have the color underneath. The only one that I don't have of her quads is the smoky, and I really wasn't interested in getting the smoky. And as a matter of fact, you're seeing a smoky look on my eye now, so to me, it was a reinforcement that I didn't need it. I also don't have the Shade and Light eye palette, and I mentioned in my intro video to this one that I was happy that these 3 quads were in fact my Shade and Light palette. I didn't want any more neutrals. These have a nice punch of color in each one, and the rest has more of an orange color than what is available in the Shade and Light palette, in my opinion. So I will show you all of these and let you know how often I use them. I tended to use all of them, kind of as intended. So as like the base look. So I'll start with the Rust palette. This is what it looks like, and my nails are like all cruddy, ugly, so I'm just gonna try my best not to show you those nails. Alright, so there's the Rust quad. So they don't have color names, which is something that actually bugs me about these quads that I did not know to begin with. So the first one over here is called Base. The next one over is called Define, then Contour, then Highlight. Each one of those 4 shades has the same, of those quads has the same shade names for the purposes intended, so to speak, for the quad. Of course, you use the colors however you want, but that's what they're intended to be. And I did tend to use them for what they were intended to be, unless, of course, I was using one of the quad colors or one or more of the quad colors to complement the Pastel Goth. Now, that said, I think that this would be a fantastic smoky eye. This also could be a light smoky eye. The base could always be a way to start off the canvas, to use any other shades, whether in this quad or elsewhere. And the highlights in each one of the quads could definitely complement, act as a highlight or an inner lid color for many eye looks. In this case, the base tended more towards the dusty rose and the highlight more toward the yellow. Very nice color combination. I have no problem with it. I used it quite a few times, actually. I ended up using Rust, this one, 3 times. Now, another one that I used 3 times is the Plum. It was actually the one I was most excited to use because I didn't have so far a plum that really spoke to me in any of my palettes, other than maybe a plum in one of the Tarte palette. I think the actual Tartlet palette has a decent plum, but this one is definitely darker. And it has the same kind of naming scheme. So you've got base, you've got define, contour, and highlight. I liked the base, although if you have the Plum and the Rust, take a look at these. I'm really going to say, let's try this. I'm really going to say that the base in Rust seems to go better with the Plum quad. The one in Rust has a little bit more, it's a little bit lighter, and the one in Plum has a little bit more peachiness to it. So I might actually open up both quads and swap out the base color as far as what I use in any given look. I won't physically swap it, but just in the aesthetics of it. Now, for this quad, the 2 colors that I used the most were these 2, definitely. They were really quite beautiful on the eye, and that plum color, what I feel like is more, well, yeah, it's plum color. I keep thinking aubergine, but it is more plum. It was beautiful on the very outer lid and just pulled into the crease. It was quite nice, and you can definitely see that eye look in at least one video that I've done over the last couple of weeks. So that Plum quad, like I said, I used 3 times. And the third quad, which I was a little bit surprised at, I used only once, and that was the Sage quad. So there it is. I don't have any problem with it. I wasn't 100% on the look that I came up with for this quad, but it was also not the those were not the only shades I was using. I also brought in a very old favorite single to go along with the rest of these shades. And I think that because all the colors in here except for the Sage were so predictably boring, I think that that's what just didn't have me jazzed about this quad. And it's no fault of the quad. I think that it comes to mind just as much, if not more, than the Plum. So I know that I will be pulling it out again. I think it's probably because it's the summer. It just feels like, doesn't it? It just feels like a fall quad to me. So maybe I'll pull it back out in a couple of months. So that's it for the 3 quads. I will noisily close them up. And we'll go to a less noisy palette, and that is the Pastel Goth. So that is the other palette, which was really nice because the other quad shades tended to have some pretty dark, prominent colors, and it was quite nice to have this palette with some very different shades. Now, the trouble that I had in recording this is some of the shade names in the Pastel Goth are not, they just don't match what I would necessarily call them. Like the first two shades, Star and Clementine, so these two shades right here, they make sense to me because Star is bright and yellow, no problem. Clementine is orange, I get it. And another one as well, Skull, yeah, Skull, it makes sense that it would be, can you see the color? It makes sense that it would be white. But the other ones, so the purplish pink right here is called Meow. The next one over, which is the purple pastel, is called Dope. The blue is called Doom. And the green is called Gloom. And then the grayish one is called Dagger. I'm just going to give you another view of the colors because the camera seems to be not picking them up when I'm too far. Okay, so all of these colors are beautiful. I did find that I needed to bring in other palettes to work with this one, except for the look I have today, actually. I was able to use Dagger, the gray color, on most of my lid, kind of smoking it out to the brow bone on which I put Skull. So I've got Skull right under my eyebrow. And also I used Doom, the very bright blue, along my lash line. I also put a little bit of Dagger just underneath that blue as well, just to kind of help that blue pop. I did find that the blue was not bright enough in itself, and I complemented that palette with the Sephora waterproof pencil that looks like this. So it's in a nice, very bright blue, and I have that in my waterline, and it holds pretty well. So I think that that kind of complemented the look. Along with all of this, and I don't have it out, I will have to get it. Just a minute. Okay, I'm back. To complement all of that, I have as well the tattoo liner, which I used during this brand new focus, and I used it most days. And I also used, I had two other liners. I had this Amadeus liner and also this Hide liner. Now you'll see with the clip here, I did not end up using the Amadeus, and it's mostly because these are metallic liners, and a metallic silver, I had no event or evening look to put that liner with, and during the day, based on what I do, it would have looked really goofy with what projects I had going on. But the Hide liner I did use a few times. So let me just go over how often I used the Pastel Goth colors and how often I used the liners. So the Pastel Goth I used a total of 5 times. The shade I used the most was Clementine. So it's that nice, Clementine is that nice light orange I showed you earlier. So that one I used 3 times. The other one I used more than once was the white, which is Skull, which I used twice, and every other color I used once. So I gave every color in this palette a go, and I have to say I like all of them. They are a muted color. The one thing that I wish I would have done, which I probably will do in the future, is see if I put the NYX Milk liner, like it's the jumbo pencil, if I use that underneath as a tacky base to see if the pastel colors come out more, that would probably be a change that I would make. I also do certainly like them as a lower lash line effect, and I probably will use them there as well. But definitely when I'm looking for a nice, soft, but still punchy color, I think that that's the palette I will go to. It certainly comes to mind for that, so I have no doubt I will use it again. So if I didn't mention it, that Hide liner I used twice. Amadeus, as I mentioned, the metallic silver I did not use, but the beautiful bronzy Hide color, I quite liked it. Now, you'll see in the reviews if you go on Sephora that Hide, well, all of the metallics have kind of a bad reputation, and it's because the packaging comes apart and the unit dispensing the product through the pen dispenses too much product. So as long as you're aware of that, it can be a very good liner if you use it appropriately with those cautions. We're now to lip products, and it will be short because I only have 3. So I had one of the studded lip colors in Lolita, and this is what it looks like. I barely used it, only used it a couple of times, but it's not the fault of the Kat Von D products. I have used these other 2 quite a few times. Lolita was brand new, but I've had a lip issue over the last number of days because of a sample. I'm pretty sure it's a sample that I used. My lips have been hurting and swollen and uncomfortable. So I've been limited in what I've been able to wear on my lips, which makes me very sad because I use a lot of lip products. The next one was Double Dare. I did not use this one at all. I tried putting it on today, but it did not go on with this look. So I had to take it off and put this one on instead, which is Ludwig. And Ludwig I quite like. So, and it's neutral enough. It goes with a little bit more of a colorful eye look, and I think it's a good pairing. Really what I wanted to wear with this eye look today was a black lipstick, but I don't have a Kat Von D black, so I decided not to go with that. So that's it. Those are the Kat Von D products. It's how often I use them, and overall, I have to say 2 things. Am I happy with the number of days that I use these products? Yes. I am happy with the 8 days that I use them. Do I want to keep using them tomorrow and beyond? No, I'm ready to move on. Take it for what it's worth. This is my shortest brand new focus interval. And I don't know what the exact reason is, and I'm not being obtuse, I really am not sure why I want to move on, but I want to move on. Do I have a favorable impression of these products as they stand? Yes. They behaved like I was hoping they would. There was a little bit more powderiness than I was expecting, but I don't have a problem with powder as long as the shadow performs, which they did. That said, I'm not in a hurry to get anything else from this line at all, but I will continue to enjoy the products that I have, and you will certainly see them as part of my eye looks in the future. So that's it for Kat Von D products. Thank you for joining me today. If you have some comments about these various products or other products from the line that you want to talk about below, or even substitutes for what I showed today, by all means, leave your comments down below. And if you like the content of this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. And if you like the content on this channel in general, please consider subscribing. It would mean a lot to me. Thank you for your time, and see you in the next video. Take care.